I found out my best friend was sleeping with my fiancé, and they tried to blame me for it. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and let's dive into this story. It was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. My fiancé, Aaron, and I were days away from our wedding. Everything was planned. The venue, the guest list, the dress. I was so excited that it was all finally coming together. But what I didn't know was that in just a few hours, everything I thought I knew about my life was going to be destroyed. It all started with a simple phone call from my best friend, Jessica. She had been my rock through everything, my confidant, the one who always had my back. We'd known each other since college, and I had trusted her more than anyone else. So when she called me that morning and said we needed to talk, I didn't think anything of it. I assumed it was just pre-wedding jitters, something harmless. But when I arrived at her apartment, I could see the hesitation in her eyes. She was pacing, her phone clutched in her hands like it was the only thing keeping her grounded. "Jessica, what's going on?" I asked, my voice laced with concern. "You're freaking me out." She didn't answer immediately. She just stood there, staring at the floor. Finally, she looked up, her eyes bloodshot as if she hadn't been sleeping. "Rachel, I don't know how to say this," she started, her voice shaky. "But you need to know something about Aaron." I froze, a chill running down my spine. I wasn't prepared for what she was about to say. My mind raced, trying to figure out what could possibly be wrong. What was it about Aaron? Is something wrong with him? I asked, my heart racing. "Is he okay?" She shook her head. "No, he's fine. But there's something you don't know. Something he's been hiding from you." My stomach twisted. "What are you talking about?" She took a deep breath, then let it out in one shaky exhale. "I've been sleeping with him, Rachel." The words hit me like a punch to the gut. I couldn't breathe. I felt like the world had suddenly stopped spinning. I stared at her, trying to make sense of what she was saying, but nothing made sense. It felt like my whole body had gone numb. What?" I stammered, unable to process it. "What did you just say?" "I'm sorry," Jessica whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I didn't mean for it to happen. It was a mistake, but it's been going on for months, Rachel. I'm so sorry." I couldn't comprehend the words coming out of her mouth. It didn't feel real. Jessica, the woman I considered my best friend, the person who knew everything about me, had been sleeping with the man I was about to marry. The man I had trusted with my heart, with my life. The betrayal was suffocating, too heavy to even think about. I took a few steps back, trying to clear my head, trying to breathe. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest, the shock paralyzing me. "No," I whispered, shaking my head. "No, this isn't true. This can't be true. I'm so sorry," she repeated, stepping forward, but I held up my hand to stop her. I couldn't bear to be close to her right now, not after what she had just said. "You." I stopped myself, my throat tight with anger. "You slept with him? For how long?" "A few months," she answered, her voice barely audible. "It started after you and Aaron had that fight last summer. He was feeling lost, and I was there for him. But I never wanted to hurt you, Rachel. It just had happened. I felt like I was going to be sick." I turned away from her, my head spinning. "How could you do this to me? You're my best friend. How could you sleep with the man I love?" "I never meant for this to happen," she cried, her voice cracking. "I swear, I didn't want to hurt you. But I couldn't stop it." "Stop it?" I echoed, the rage starting to boil inside me. "You couldn't stop it? Are you serious? You knew how much I loved him. You knew how much he meant to me. And you went behind my back. You let it go on for months?" "I was wrong," she said, her voice breaking. "I know I was wrong. I hate myself for it, Rachel. Please, don't hate me. Please." The tears I had been holding back finally spilled over. I couldn't even speak. My best friend, the one person I trusted more than anyone else in the world, had done this to me. I felt betrayed beyond words. Every memory, every moment I had shared with Jessica, now felt tainted. It was all a lie. The silence stretched between us like a chasm, and I knew then that everything had changed. I didn't know if I could ever look at Jessica the same way again. I didn't know if I could ever forgive her. I turned to leave, the weight of everything pressing down on me. But just before I stepped out the door, Jessica's voice stopped me. "Rachel, please don't tell him," she begged. "I'm begging you. I know I messed up, but if you tell Aaron, it will destroy everything. Please, don't do this." I looked at her one last time, the betrayal still burning in my chest. "You've already destroyed everything, Jessica. You've already ruined it all." I don't remember how I got home that day. Everything felt like a blur, like I was floating above my own body, watching the destruction unfold without any control. My mind kept circling back to Jessica's confession, to the impossible words that she had spoken. "I've been sleeping with him. It's been going on for months." I could still hear them, as if they were burned into my brain, over and over. I slammed the door behind me as I entered my apartment, my breath coming in ragged gasps. My hands trembled uncontrollably as I fumbled for my phone. I needed to call Aaron. I needed to confront him. I needed to know why. Why he had done this to me. Why he had betrayed me with the one person I had trusted most in the world. I scrolled through my contacts, my finger hovering over his name. I couldn't bring myself to press call. What would I even say? What could I say? Everything I thought I knew about our relationship had been a lie. Our love, our trust, everything. It was all built on deceit. I paced around my apartment for what felt like hours, the phone still in my hand. The silence of the room was suffocating. Every piece of furniture, every picture on the wall, felt like it was mocking me. How had I been so blind? How had I missed the signs? Finally, the weight of it all became too much. I couldn't wait any longer. I dialed his number, holding the phone to my ear with trembling hands. The ringing felt like it went on forever, each second dragging by, pulling me deeper into the storm I had found myself in. Hello. Aaron's voice sounded tired, casual. He had no idea what was coming. I didn't say anything at first. I just stood there, listening to the silence between us. Finally, I spoke, my voice cold and sharp. Do you think I'm stupid, Aaron? I asked, my voice trembling with restrained fury. Rachel, he said, his tone changing instantly. What's going on? You sound upset. What happened? Don't pretend like you don't know, I shot back. You've been sleeping with her, haven't you? There was a long pause on the other end of the line. I could hear him breathing, his hesitation unmistakable. It was like he was trying to come up with some excuse, something that could explain the unexplainable. But there was nothing he could say. Not anymore. I don't know what you're talking about, he said, his voice suddenly distant, defensive. I laughed bitterly, the sound bitter and hollow. Stop lying. I know everything, Aaron. I know about you and Jessica. I know it's been going on for months. There was another silence, but this time it wasn't because he was trying to figure out what to say. This time, I could hear the guilt in his voice, even before he spoke. Rachel, I didn't mean for it to happen. It was a mistake, he said, his voice quiet, almost pleading. I never wanted to hurt you. I swear, it was just something that happened. I felt like my world was crumbling with every word he said. The man I loved, the man I had trusted with my heart, was telling me that everything we had was a mistake. That everything we had shared, every moment, every promise, had been a lie. He had cheated on me with my best friend, and now he was trying to downplay it like it was nothing. I swallowed the lump in my throat, trying to keep the tears at bay. A mistake? You call this a mistake, Aaron? You and Jessica have been sleeping together behind my back for months, and you think it's just a mistake? I never wanted you to find out this way, he said. I didn't want to hurt you. You have to believe me. Please, Rachel. We can work through this. I'll do anything. Just, please, don't leave me. I felt sick. The words felt like acid in my stomach, burning with every syllable. He wasn't sorry for what he did. He was sorry that he'd been caught. He wasn't thinking about me, or how much he had hurt me. He was only thinking about saving himself. You've already destroyed everything, Aaron, I said, my voice breaking as the tears finally came. You've destroyed me, and you've destroyed our relationship. I don't even know who you are anymore. This isn't something we can fix. But we can, he insisted, his voice now desperate. Rachel, please, don't give up on us. Don't give up on me. I shook my head, even though he couldn't see me. You don't get it, Aaron. You don't get to fix this. You don't get to fix what you've broken. I trusted you. I loved you. And you betrayed me with the one person I thought I could trust more than anyone else. There was silence on the other end of the line, and I knew he didn't know what to say. He couldn't say anything to fix this, because there was nothing left to fix. I think it's over, Aaron, I said quietly, the weight of those words crushing me. I think it's really over. I'm sorry, he said again, but this time it sounded empty. He knew it was too late. I was already gone, emotionally, and there was no way to bring me back. I hung up the phone without another word. The finality of the action felt heavy, but somehow, it was a relief. I didn't want to keep fighting for something that wasn't real. I didn't want to keep hoping for a love that had never truly existed. It was over, and as painful as it was, I knew I couldn't go back. The aftermath of that phone call was surreal. I had expected tears, anger, maybe even a few moments of regret. But what I didn't expect was the numbness, the deep, hollow feeling that took over me the second I hung up the phone. It felt like the world around me had slowed down, as if I were caught in a dream I couldn't wake up from. My life had just been turned upside down, and yet, I couldn't bring myself to feel anything other than emptiness. I spent the next few days in a daze, barely eating, barely sleeping. I couldn't bear to look at anything that reminded me of Aaron, of Jessica, of the life I had thought I was building with him. Our wedding invitation still sat on the counter, untouched. My dress, which I had picked out with so much excitement, hung in the closet, a cruel reminder of the life I'd been planning that would never come to pass. But the worst part wasn't the emptiness or the anger, it was the loneliness. Everyone I thought I could turn to, Everyone I thought had my back had betrayed me. I had trusted Jessica like a sister, and Aaron was supposed to be the man I would spend the rest of my life with. But now, both of them were strangers. They had both stolen pieces of my soul, and I didn't know how to recover from that. I didn't want to be alone, but the thought of being around people was too much. I shut myself off, staying in my apartment and avoiding phone calls and messages. Jessica tried to reach out to me, of course, but I didn't pick up. I couldn't bring myself to speak to her. What could I possibly say? There was nothing she could say to make it right. Then came the day I couldn't avoid it any longer. Jessica showed up at my door. I had been sitting on the couch, staring blankly at the TV, when I heard a knock. I hesitated for a moment, not wanting to answer. I had spent the last few days avoiding everyone, including her. But the knocking persisted, louder and more insistent. With a deep breath, I opened the door. There she was, standing in front of me, looking like a ghost of the person I once called my best friend. Her eyes were red from crying, and she looked smaller, defeated, like she didn't know what to say or how to fix what she had broken. "I know you don't want to see me," she began, her voice breaking. "I know you're angry, and you have every right to be. But I need you to hear me out." I didn't let her finish. "Hear you out?" I repeated, my voice flat. "What could you possibly say to me that I haven't already heard? What could you say that would fix what you did?" "I didn't want it to happen," she said quickly, stepping forward. "It was a mistake, Rachel. I never meant to hurt you. You have to believe me. It was just, I was there for him when he needed someone. We both were vulnerable, and it just—" "Stop," I interrupted, my voice rising. "No more excuses. You slept with him. You betrayed me. You knew how much I loved him, how much he meant to me, and you did this behind my back." Tears welled up in her eyes, but I didn't care. The pain I felt was too deep. I couldn't see her as the person I once called my best friend anymore. She had chosen him over me, and nothing she said could ever undo that. "I'm so sorry, Rachel," she whispered. "I wish I could take it all back. I would if I could. I've lost everything because of this. But I've lost you, too, and I can't bear that." I shook my head, trying to steady my breathing. "You've lost everything because of your choices. You made your bed, Jessica. Now you have to lie in it. Don't come to me with your apologies. You had a chance to be honest with me. You could have told me, but you chose to lie. And now you've lost me. Forever." Her face crumpled, and she reached out to me, as if trying to bridge the distance between us. But I stepped back, not wanting her touch, not wanting her in my life anymore. "Please, Rachel, don't shut me out. I need you. I've ruined everything. I don't know how to fix this, but I'm begging you. Please, don't leave me." I didn't know if I had the strength to face her anymore. The pain of the betrayal was too raw, too fresh. And as much as I wanted to scream at her, to tell her how much she had hurt me, I just stood there in silence, my heart breaking all over again. Finally, I spoke, my voice quiet but firm. "It's over, Jessica. Don't come back. You've done enough damage." And with that, I shut the door in her face. The next few days were a blur. I didn't leave my apartment. I didn't talk to anyone. I didn't know how to process what had happened, what I had lost. The pain was constant, like a dull ache that wouldn't go away. I had been so sure that I had everything figured out, that I was about to marry the man I loved, that I had a future with him, with her, with this life I had worked so hard to build. But now it was all gone. I sat in my living room, the silence swallowing me whole. But then my phone buzzed. It was Aaron. For a moment, I just stared at it, wondering if I should pick up. Part of me wanted to scream at him, to tear into him for everything he had done. But another part of me wanted to hear him beg, to hear him apologize for destroying everything I had believed in. He hadn't been just my fiancé. He was the man I had trusted, the man I had given everything to. With trembling hands, I answered the phone. "Rachel." Aaron's voice was low, strained. "I need to talk to you." I could hear the desperation in his voice. But I wasn't ready for this. I wasn't ready to hear his excuses. "No, Aaron," I said, my voice cold. "You had your chance. You don't get to fix this. You don't get to fix me." I hung up the phone and threw it across the room, my chest heaving with emotion. My hands were shaking, but I didn't care. I was done. I was done with him, done with Jessica, done with the lie that had been my life. The days that followed felt like an eternity. I had thought I would find relief after confronting Jessica, after finally telling her the truth, but all I felt was an overwhelming emptiness. Every corner of my apartment reminded me of what I had lost. The wedding plans that I had poured my heart into now seemed like a cruel joke. The love I thought I had built with Aaron, the future we were supposed to have together, gone. And the friendship I had with Jessica, shattered beyond repair. I didn't know where to turn. Everyone I had trusted had betrayed me, and now I was left to figure out how to rebuild my life from the ashes. But even as I sat alone in my apartment, I knew there was still one thing left to do. I had to face Aaron. He had been trying to contact me constantly since the phone call. Texts, voicemails, emails. all desperate pleas for forgiveness. But I wasn't ready to hear him out. What could he possibly say that would make everything right again? I had already heard his empty apologies, his excuses. They meant nothing. But as the days wore on, the weight of it all became unbearable. I knew I couldn't keep running from him forever. He had been a huge part of my life for years, and no matter how much he had betrayed me, I needed closure. I needed to hear him say, face to face, why he had done this. So, I agreed to meet him. We met at a small cafe, one we used to frequent when everything between us had been perfect. I hadn't been back there since the betrayal, and the familiar surroundings only made everything feel worse. I walked in and saw him sitting at a table by the window, looking so different than the man I thought I knew. His face was drawn, his eyes red from crying. But I didn't feel any sympathy. I had given him everything, my love, my trust, and he had thrown it all away. I sat down across from him, the air between us thick with tension. Rachel, Aaron said, his voice hoarse. I'm so sorry. You have to believe me. I never wanted to hurt you. I stared at him, my hands clenched tightly in my lap. No, I said, my voice cold. You didn't want to hurt me? What was it then, Aaron? Because what you did hurt more than I ever thought was possible. He looked down at the table, unable to meet my eyes. I know, he whispered. I've never been more ashamed of myself. I don't know what happened. I don't know how things went so wrong. You don't know? I asked, my voice rising now. You don't know how it happened? You think I'm going to believe that? You made a choice, Aaron. You chose to sleep with her. You chose to betray me. I wasn't thinking, he said desperately, looking up at me now. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I swear, Rachel, I love you. I always have. This was a mistake. I've made the biggest mistake of my life, and now I'll never forgive myself. But you did it, didn't you? I said, my voice steady but full of contempt. You chose her. You chose to betray me. And the worst part is, you're still sitting here acting like you didn't destroy everything we had. Like you didn't destroy me. Please, Rachel, Aaron begged, his voice cracking. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I'm begging you to give me a chance. I'll do whatever it takes. I don't want to lose you. I love you. The words hung in the air, heavy with the weight of the past. And I realized, in that moment, that I didn't care about his love anymore. The love he had given me had been nothing but lies. And the person I thought I was in love with didn't exist anymore. You don't get to love me anymore, I said, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. You don't get to come back from this. You made your choice. And now I'm making mine. He reached across the table, trying to grab my hand, but I pulled it away, the sharpness of my movements matching the coldness in my heart. I can't do this anymore, I said, my voice low and final. I'm done, Aaron. I'm done with you. And just like that, I stood up and walked out. There was nothing left to say. The man I thought I was going to marry, the person I had built my entire future around, had been a stranger to me all along. The life I had dreamed of was gone, and I knew now that there was no going back. The weeks after that meeting were a blur of anger, grief, and disbelief. I had spent so many years invested in Aaron and Jessica, and now I was left to figure out how to move forward from the wreckage. I still couldn't bring myself to talk to anyone about it. Not my family, not my friends. The betrayal was too much to bear, and I didn't want to explain what had happened. I didn't want to relive the pain of it all. But one thing became clear to me in those dark days. I wasn't going to let this define me. I wasn't going to let Aaron's betrayal and Jessica's lies break me. They had destroyed my world, but they couldn't take away my future. I was stronger than that. I had to be. I knew I had a long road ahead of me. Healing wouldn't come quickly, but I was determined to move on. I wasn't going to let them win. The pain they caused me would fade, and I would rebuild my life, piece by piece.